I'm John Grafft, and I love Chicago real estate. Between showings, I stop in my favorite places, talk with local business owners, and bring their story to you. This is my Chicago.
So how long have you been in this space?
We opened up here in June last year. So not
Great
the best,
timing.
not the best timing. We luckily avoided getting hit in the riots.
Okay.
There's scaffolding all around our building, so like everything else got hit, but like when we turn off the lights, it's pretty dark. It was dark, especially like with the scaffolding, so you couldn't really see
That's good.
what's in here, or no one. Like,
I bet that was a huge deterrent.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught. But like, man, it was a stressful.
Because I saw the cameras up. Are you just sitting at home looking like what's happening to my
Yeah,
store?
I mean, like they tagged the windows and stuff, but it wasn't like someone keyed my window over there recently too.
Okay. How'd you choose this location?
So having been a lawyer, like this is kind of where our guys are.
Okay.
So that's kind of when.
It's right on the beaten path. That's what I figured.
Yeah, we want to be where our guys are, so they can get to us on their lunch break, like after work and stuff.
Just pop in. So the space looks really nice. How long did it take you to put all this together?
We started construction here in October. Was it 19?
Okay.
So about a 6-month build out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like once all the permits are settled and stuff, about a 6-month build out. We had everything's custom made for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the lights coming down and everything. It's a really nice touch.
Yeah, yeah. Closets and cabinets are expensive.
Yes. Yeah. Did you
being
work with a designer?
Huh?
Did you work with a designer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They're more heavy on the architect side. They do design and architectural work. Since they did help me design a lot of it, but I picked out a lot of the stuff in here too.
Okay. So it's really clean, and it's masculine but not over the top.
Yeah.
And I really like where everything's laid out, and I feel like the flow of this whole space is really
Yeah,
good.
everything has a purpose, which is nice. When we created this space, compared to our old space was really dark. It was very, very open. Square footage wise, it was probably a little bit bigger than our space here, but it wasn't really well utilized. We would have everyone come in, we would always use the same small area, and the rest of it would kind of go to waste.
So it looks grander, maybe.
Yeah, well, that space was definitely a man cave. It was
Okay.
it was dark and like it was dark, and kind of we have a better idea of who our clientele is at this point. I mean, we do so many things for weddings, and we fully launched women's clothing last year as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we wanted the space to be a little bit lighter, a little bit more welcoming. But then there's a good flow to it. Like, so the room we're in, the front room, is kind of like a showroom area where people can see in from the street. And this is kind of the first thing they see. The second room it's essentially, everything we have is modular. So it's built out for event spaces. So we have these like modular
nice.
bars.
Okay.
That's what the second room is for. And then the third room in the back, which is more private and you can't see in from the street, that's where we handle all of our fittings.
Okay. So women's clothing, what made you want to get into that? How do you do that? It seems like a huge stretch for men's clothing. Maybe it isn't.
It's an extreme challenge. The honest truth is I would get hassled by my wife all the time to make it.
Because she wanted custom clothes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's so hard. Like, think about how hard it is for you to find clothes that fit, and you're pretty standard built.
Yeah.
Women vary much more than men, so it's extremely difficult for women to find high quality clothes. I think women's clothing in general leans towards selling the brand as opposed to actual quality.
Completely agree.
So we're like, let's give it a go. And it's, honestly, it's been about 5 years. It's not just like hey, let's do this, and we launched it. What you run into with a lot of other people, most people, is they have their men's tailors trying to make women's clothes. That doesn't really work. So you can't have someone who their entire life they've been sewing something straight, like on a sewing machine, and then you all of a sudden tell them to like make this curve. So that's very, very difficult. Why it rarely ever works. What happens is, like, for most custom places, you make a women's suit and it just looks like a man's jacket repurposed.
Okay. With some shoulder pads on it. And
Yeah.
call it a day.
Yeah. But like our advantages there are twofold. One is that we actually have an in-house like women's designer who specializes in women's clothing, and the other huge advantage we have is because everything we make is handmade. It's a lot easier to stitch things like on a curve as opposed to like going through a sewing machine. So there's a lot of advantages having things actually handmade that go beyond that. So like if you use a nice fabric, you want to allow it to have like the proper give. So especially like a soft,
little stretch to it.
Yeah, especially soft fabric like cashmere. Saying like you're sewing two pieces together, the arm or like the sleeve and the jacket, you want it to be able to, you know, have a little bit of give to it, natural give. If you run it through a sewing machine, it's just going to tighten everything up and it kind of like destroys the fabric.
So everything here is made by hand, no sewing machines?
We do use sewing machines for some of the inner parts of it,
Okay.
but everything outside is finished and everything that's attached together is done by hand.
Got it.
Yeah.
And why do you want to do this?
The long and the short is that I was not able to find a good custom suit myself. And not just in this city, but I had some suits made overseas and I've kind of tried other things as well. And it was all okay. It wasn't great. So I figured I would try to do a better job. When I started, honestly, it was pretty similar to what other people were doing. But about probably, 7 years ago, we decided to just throw everything out the window and kind of create our own. So we invested in our own team.
Okay.
So we just wanted to make something better. So we hand make everything. We only source fabrics from Italy and England, but that goes beyond just the outer fabric. That's, you know, the canvassing is custom made in Italy or Germany. The thread comes from Germany. The mother pearl buttons come from Japan. And we kind of just assemble everything by hand, and then we actually cut it for you, as opposed to like a made-to-measure where it's kind of like they just tweak a few things here and there. So yeah, it's a product that didn't exist in Chicago when we started this. It still doesn't exist in Chicago today, outside of us doing it.
Well, it's amazing to hear you're getting buttons from Japan, thread from Germany, and all these different pieces. How do you source those?
I visit.
Okay.
I nerd out about this stuff. I like learning how the processes work and seeing everything. So at this point, I've been to about 180 some odd factories around the world.
Wow.
So between Italy, England, Germany, and China. I want to see how everything is made. That's the only way you're going to actually know, like, learn the product. And it's not like, in our industry, it's almost impossible, let's put it that way, to find what you think of that traditional tailor that's making your suit from start to finish. That like one old Italian guy who's in the back.
Or like being on Savile Row and going in 7 times for your fitting.
Well, even on Savile Row, I would say 90% of that is outsourced now.
Okay.
90+% of Savile Row is outsourced.
So they're doing all the measuring on site and then they're sending it out to Hong Kong or somewhere else?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. 90% of Savile Row is outsourced. There may be a handful to a dozen of master tailors left in the entire world that can actually make you a good suit. If you wanted one of those guys to make you a good suit, there's maybe 1 or 2 in New York. There's maybe a handful in England, in London, and a handful in Italy. You should expect 6 to 12 months for your finished garment, and B, you should expect to pay no less than $10,000.
Okay.
Because that's
from one of those masters.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, if it takes them, 40, 50 hours to make a suit, that's how long it's going to take them. You break it down by the hour. But even those suits, they can make their style of suit, right? So if you go to Milan or you go to Naples, they can make you a Milanese jacket, or they can make you a Neapolitan jacket. They can't make you an English jacket or a Roman jacket. They can make what they make. So like the houses on Savile Row that still do it there, they can make you an English style jacket, which is very propped up shoulder pads, very slim, very like, you think about your traditional English jackets. They're not going to make you something that looks casual. They just don't have the ability to do that. We are able to we have 4 house styles. So we have an English, a Milanese, which is kind of your standard Italian jacket. Okay. We have a Neapolitan jacket, which is probably the most casual of the bunch, and then we have a Roman jacket, which is the most classic of the bunch. Okay. So you can essentially get your jackets from around the world here. We're not going to say we do it better than them, because they are the masters. They're who we're learning everything from. But we have a lot more. We are able to offer a lot of variety. The biggest issue in custom suiting today is the Chinese model,
Okay.
which is some kid, a 22-year-old kid sitting behind a computer, playing on a CAD program, and just tweaking your measurements. It comes out, and you might have like a different color fabric, or even a nice fabric, but you look at the silhouette and you look at the shape of it, and it just looks off.
Well, I've read a bunch about the future of clothing, where they're going to scan your body, be able to custom fit something for you. And it sounds great, but it's hard to really grasp and understand how that's going to work right. Because even if it does it, you know there's going to be some tailoring after the fact, because there's going to be some mistakes. But eventually down the line, do you think that's going to be possible?
No. Well, yes, maybe, but not anything like in the next 10 to 20 years.
Okay.
The technology just isn't there. The comfort level of doing that is not there. So how that technology works, and again, like having been everywhere, I've seen it. That technology is just repurposed airport scanner technology.
Okay.
So that's one. So if you think about it, you put your hands up and it scans around, right? And it gets you like a close body measurement.
So it's the same technology?
It's the same technology.
Okay. Does that use some LiDAR?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But the biggest issue with that is like they can probably nail your shoulders pretty close for the most part, but you know, American guys can be rounder here and there. That might be a little tricky. They could probably figure that out. But if you have someone who is bigger, or you know, an athlete who has big thighs and their thighs touch, how do you measure their rise? Impossible.
They have to have a real wide stance when that.
You have a real wide stance, but then it throws everything else off.
Yeah, great point.
And they have to be in their underwear or spandex, or you know, it would be really uncomfortable to do. I think. So there are a lot of people. There have been people who have approached me to try to sell me that technology. It's like $30,000 or whatever it is.
I'd rather have the guy. I'd rather have you measuring.
Yeah. Well, most people have. What ends up happening for most of those is like, hey, it looks cool in the corner and it's like a good selling point online, but they never use it because
it's like a lot of AI. People have been talking about AI for years. And I read this study that there's almost 50% of the companies that are talking about doing AI are actually have people in the back doing all the things it's supposed to be doing, because they're not able to do it completely yet.
It's great in theory, and if we can get there someday, I'm all for it. We're not remotely close to it at this point.
So what does the process look like today when someone comes in and says, I want to buy a suit?
So we get most of our fittings online or through referrals or wedding consults, etc. They book a fitting online. We have you come in. We try to make it as painless as possible.
I saw the booze in the back. Is that what that's for?
Yes, there is some. If you would like a drink, we certainly won't stop you from that. Yeah, we kind of just get into it. We kind of go through. It's an hour-long process for the most part for first-time clients. We get into the nitty-gritty of what they need the suit or shirt or bomber or coat or whatever, like what they're going to wear it for, and then we kind of go through like what you are typically wearing. So your sense, we try to get as much of a sense of your personal style as possible. And then we kind of start to build things off of that.
So what type of questions do you ask, and how many measurements do you take?
I would say all in all, we take about 37 to 40 measurements.
Okay.
Not all of those are directly like numbers. So like we take photos as well. So little things like we'll notice that you're right-handed just from looking, right or left-handed just from looking at you. And we'll adjust things accordingly, but that's not really like a number. Some people have these like finicky little devices, and they'll measure the degree of your shoulders, which is kind of really useless. We
the degree of your shoulders?
Yeah, like the shoulder slope of your degree to figure out the difference. For me, I find it's easier just visually. We'll put you in a jacket just to see the difference, and you can literally see. And we use centimeters, but you can see like the difference between your left and right being, you know, a ½ inch or 3/4 or whatever. And we take a handful of very unique measurements to us that other people don't take as well to ensure, you know, the perfect fitting garment. I don't want to give things away, but like little things like we take an armhole measurement. So most people and most of these companies, what they do is
So what's the armhole?
So the armhole is this.
Okay.
Right? So most people, what they do is they take your bicep measurement and they take your chest measurement, and they think they can like figure out your armhole measurement, like in a CAD program, or like using a formula.
Are most people using a CAD program when they're doing these suits? No kidding. Okay, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, there's like a formula they use, but it doesn't work. What happens is you have baggy armholes, you have armholes that are way too high, etc. But it's convenient. It's easy for teaching someone new. Like you can kind of get anyone up to speed in doing that. But what happens is, like, if you have a guy who's broader chested with smaller arms, or vice versa, or whatever, you know, like it doesn't really work. So we do a lot of those unique measurements to make sure things are right.
So you take the measurements. What's the next step?
We go through the fabric design process. We have access to about 45,000 fabrics at any given time.
45,000?
45,000, yeah. And then,
so how do you make that digestible for someone like me?
Well, we usually, like, once we kind of narrow down to what you're going to wear and what you're looking for and budget and all that, we're probably going to narrow it down to 50 to 100.
Okay. So then I just go through and select from there?
Yeah. The trickiest ones are the ones where someone comes in like, I have no idea what I want, like, or I want a blue. Well, we have, 15,000 blues.
Yeah.
But I have about 45,000 fabrics. I would say, realistically, most guys are within that, $5,000 to $6,000 fabric, 5,000 to 6,000 fabric choices.
Finished product, $5,000 to $6,000 for the suit.
No, I'm sorry. No, not the price. Just
the options.
Yeah, okay. Between 5,000 and 6,000 fabrics. The rest of it is there. It's available. I mean, you get into like not crazy, just different, more unique patterns, or smoking jackets, tuxedos, and everything else. The silks, cashmeres, etc.
More outlier products than what most people are getting.
Yeah.
Most people just want a suit to work in. They go to an event, something special, but something that's flexible and can work in different suits.
Right.
I imagine.
Right.
So I wear suits, and I'm going to a showing, I'm going to a closing, I'm going to an event. Usually it's the same suit, right? I try to get something.
We're going to change that. Yeah. So we pick fabrics. And then from that we're going to design everything. So we're going to have some of our input, obviously, but we're going to have you play designer, and you get to design all the details of your jacket, whether that's the style lapel, the lapel width, the style
you have
of
some
pockets.
wide lapels there.
Wide lapels are currently in fashion.
I like it. It looks cool. I'm over there. I'm like, are mine too small?
No. And then we design all of that out. We pick out linings. If you want to do a custom lining,
I saw some really cool linings over there. I like the one with the bears on it.
Yeah, we were the first people to actually do that full custom line, like putting a photo inside. We do it on silk.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, so we can take anything you give us, really, put it inside the line.
Nice.
We can do custom monograms, like in your handwriting. So we'll put your signature, we'll put notes, or put your company logo or whatever. So we can do all of that.
That'd be great. I could start writing off my suits then.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect company expense.
Yeah.
So after all that, it's about 4 weeks to your first fitting.
Okay.
And then
So what's happening in that time in between?
So the 4-week timeline breaks down as such. It takes us about 7 to 10 days to order the fabric, or from the fabric to arrive to our team from Italy and or England. It takes about 14 days of production, and it takes about 40 hours of actual man work to make an individual suit. And then the rest is shipping time that we allot for.
So are they making the suit first, or do you make a template that you start with? How?
So we design your silhouette concurrently as we order the fabric.
Okay.
So we're designing things, and then once everything is ready, then we're making it.
Okay. So you have the 4-week process, and the suit comes in, I come in, I try it on. And then what are you looking for?
We're looking for you to be comfortable.
Okay.
So at that point, it becomes a personal satisfaction kind of thing. We do our best during the initial fitting to gauge, what kind of style you wear, how fitted, ideally, or how fitted or how casual you want the suit to feel, or how much room you want. So, but once you put it on, that's going to dictate, like, hey, maybe let's take out a 1/2 inch of the thigh, or I want things a little bit snugger. I would say 3 out of every 4 suits are good to go by then.
Really?
Yeah.
So the first fitting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's great.
It's a lot higher than probably 3 times as high.
I've bought some custom suits. That's
yeah.
great. Those are great numbers.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going back a lot of times.
Like 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
I've had that experience.
And it's frustrating. You don't feel like they're doing it. It doesn't feel like it's part of the process like it should be. It's more like, no, you didn't listen last time, or you didn't get this part. It feels like negligence over care. And
if you don't get it right
service.
that first alteration, at that point, you're just chopping everything up.
Okay. I had a question about that. So how much give do you have on the fabric when the suit comes, that first model? I mean, do you have more fabric inside that you cut off later so you have more play, or?
Like we added, there's probably 2 inches extra length in the trouser.
Okay.
And then circumference-wise, maybe about 1 inch all around.
Okay.
If we were to change something. I mean, we've had guys who have put on 20 pounds or lost 30 pounds in a span of a month. And those are the things we're like, well, I mean, we try to do what we can, but don't hold us to that at that point. But a suit realistically should be good for probably a 12-pound swing either way.
Okay. That's interesting to know. I can see that.
Yeah, you'll feel it, but like it should be okay.
As soon as one of my suits are tight, I'm like, oh my god, I make some lifestyle changes real quick.
It's the worst, especially when you're in
an ill-fitting suit is terrible.
It's the worst when you're in custom clothes, because like when you gain a little bit of weight, you know immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. So you go through that. It's a 4-week process. If it doesn't fit, what happens next?
We take care of everything, okay. Obviously. Typically, we have someone here that does all of our alterations. It takes between 7 and 10 days.
Okay.
Sometimes quicker.
So after that initial fitting, 7 to 10 days later,
we'll have you in for that second fitting if needed.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we try to streamline it as much as we can.
And where does a lot of your clientele? Are they coming in here for weddings? Are they coming here for custom suits? What do you think the bulk of it is?
I would say the majority. Well, let me take that back a little bit. Prior to COVID, the majority of our clients were lawyers and bankers.
Okay.
When our wedding clientele has steadily been growing, because there's just more and more, especially as custom suiting has become more quote unquote affordable.
Yeah. It seems like everyone's offering it.
Everyone's offering it, but like,
I know it can't be what it's supposed to be though.
Yeah, if you're expecting to get a really good custom suit for $800, you're much better going off the suit supply and just buying something off the rack.
Okay. That's interesting. Why is that?
They do the volume, so they actually have pretty good silhouettes, and they have good fabric because they do so much. So, for example, we can pay, if we're buying a nice Super 130s wool from, say, one of the better English mills, so like, say, Scabal or Dormay, we're probably going to pay $190 to $220 a yard for the fabric. It takes about 3.5 yards for fabric alone.
Sure. Okay, so the numbers are right there immediately.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're telling me they can do that, I'd be shocked. But if Suit Supply is buying that same fabric, but instead of buying 3.5 yards, they're buying, 35,000 yards, probably half the price.
Okay.
If not more of a discount. So they have the ability to work things in that way.
And break down those fabrics for us. How do you judge a fabric? How do you decide? How do you judge it?
How much time do we have?
As much time as you want. As much time as you have.
It's learning about fabric is a whole new thing. This is why I go to Italy and England and see like how it's actually made. Mm-hmm. The secret ingredient is the water.
Water.
Yeah. So it's the secret ingredient is the water. They've been using the same water for hundreds of years. So that gives the water, the minerals, gives the fabric like its distinct properties. So you'll find that typically the fabric and the construction is part of it too. So for example, Italian fabrics are generally woven 2x1. So it means 2 threads this way, 1 thread this way. Okay. So like this. English fabrics are typically are woven 2x2, which means English fabrics are typically a little bit more durable. I'm just saying widely,
yeah,
right?
Wide
They're typically a little bit more durable.
Are they tighter then too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they're more durable and they're a little bit heavier and they have a little bit more weight to them. Whereas Italian fabrics typically feel a little bit softer. But then you have little things like an English gray fabric runs a little bit yellow on the color side, whereas an Italian fabric runs a little bit blue. It's just the water.
Water.
the water. That's why you can't duplicate it when the fabric's made in like Asia or in South America.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a shame because one of the traditional English fabric mills, traditional one, now they've outsourced everything to South America for their fabric production, and the quality has suffered.
And you can tell immediately.
Immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you have the water, and they're making wool.
Yeah, the wool comes from the same place for the most part.
Okay.
Wool comes from New Zealand. I would say 90% of the wool comes from New Zealand.
Okay. And what's the process look like? Like from creating the fabric, from where it's being grown, what's that process in between?
When it's grown, you mean like
where the wool is grown?
Where the sheep? I've never been. I guess that's next. Yeah. I've never been to New Zealand to kind of see that, but
so they have the sheep. They take all the wool off.
Yeah, I've only seen that wool in our English mills.
Okay, so they put that all together.
Yeah.
They send that to England or Italy.
So
what happens from there?
So there's two steps in the process. One is called the weaving process.
Okay.
Where that's the construction, where you're weaving everything into thread and then putting the fabric together. And the other part.
What do those machines look like? Are those large? I mean, is this a very
they're probably like from my chair to your chair.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit longer. They're industrial machines. They crank things out. If you just Google it, I'm sure you can find it. They just press fabric together. It's pretty cool. And you can make some really unique fabric. So once you kind of make the fabric, the next step is there's a finishing process as well.
And is that the pattern?
No. So the pattern is woven in.
Okay.
So it's like one thread this way, right? So imagine like.
So are they dyeing the fabric before all this happens?
Yes, they dye it first.
Okay.
They dye the thread, and then they'll put like say you have, we're both in solids, but say like your tie, for example, it's got gold and blue in it, right? So they'll have like one thread of gold, two threads of blue, and it'll be like two blue, one gold, or two
and
blue.
the machines are handling that pattern.
Yeah, and it goes really fast.
And who decides what the patterns are?
All right, so each fabric mill that we carry, they have their own designers, that they come out with new fabrics every season. Similar to how finished products they come out with new styles every season. They come out with new fabric every season. So they have in-house designers that do that.
And you see a lot of people knocking off that fabric, not just the designs?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. So then there's a finishing process, which means if without finishing, all the fabric is going to kind of feel similar in terms of roughness.
Okay.
Sometimes like you'll feel something like, oh, that's really soft, or etc. Like that's the finishing process. It's done in a separate plant.
And what does that look like?
It's different for everything. So like, I mean, to make it as simple as possible. So say you're going to make a water resistant fabric, that's when they're going to put on like the Teflon or whatever to make the fabric water resistant. Or if you want to make the fabric wind resistant, that's when they put on the membrane in the back to make it windproof.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said the roughness or the smoothness of it. So
the natural fabric is going to dictate some of that too, like the quality. So how people hear that supers number and they think that's like everything, right?
So I was curious about that. So we have, what's the range?
I mean, technically you can start from 80s. Well, you have polyesters, which don't count, right? You can start probably from 80s. You can go all the way up to 220s.
And what does that mean?
It means how much you're going to pay.
What does it mean towards the fabric? What's the difference?
So it's measured by a micron level.
Micron level? Okay.
Yeah, and that like, and then the higher the number, typically, the nicer the fabric.
But why is it nicer?
It's softer.
It's softer.
It is actually
So
softer.
is it more fabric? Is it more material?
It's more microns.
So it's more microns. So the higher the number is, the more microns.
Yeah.
What's a micron?
I don't know. It's really hard to like really get in depth.
I'm already impressed.
Yeah. It's a lot to get in depth into everything, but just think about it as the supers number is not the most important thing to hark on. Some people who haven't had a custom suit before are like, I want a super 150 suit. Like, okay, but
it doesn't mean anything, really.
It means
right?
It means if you want something 150 or above, it means one, from us at least, that suit's probably going to cost you at least $4,500.
Okay.
And two, that suit's not going to be the most durable thing in the world. So if you're wearing that same suit once a week, it's not going to last you a full calendar year.
Okay.
Just because of how like fine the fabric is. So if you're one of our lawyers, for us it helps saying like if one of our lawyers comes in and he's like, I want a work suit where I'm gonna wear this suit once a week for court, for work, once a week. I need something durable. Something between a Super 110s and a 130s will last you a calendar year. But even at that point, that's about 50 wears. That's pretty much the shelf life of like a high-end suit.
Okay.
That's
50 wears. Now, what are your thoughts on dry cleaning?
As needed. So that's typically between every 6 to 8 wears for the most part.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah. But what happens is like, and you'll notice when a suit is when a fabric is kind of fading, but not actually fading. It's getting old when it becomes like really shiny, especially like on your elbows and etc.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's when you know the fabric
needs to go.
Kind of like it's time to replace that. But most guys aren't wearing a suit 50 times, so 50 times is going to last you for most guys. It's going to last you 4 or 5 years without a problem.
Makes sense. What about pressing? Just press is necessary.
Yeah, pressing is the way to go.
What really breaks down the suit?
Chemicals.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's everything. Again, everything in our product is natural. So from the wool suit, from the wool fabric to the horsehair and camel hair canvassing inside, everything is natural. So
let's talk about that. Horsehair or camel hair inside?
Yeah, horse and camel hair canvassing. We use 2 different kinds. One's custom made in Italy for our English silhouette, and the other ones are made in Germany, and the other ones are made in Italy. That really determines how nice the suit is. So like and people say like full canvas versus half canvas. That's not the issue.
What does that mean?
Half canvas means typically from this chest piece to here.
Okay.
Full canvas means all the way down, the entire lapel. That's not really like the biggest thing, because if you want a lighter weight jacket, you want it half canvas. You don't want it full canvas.
Is that similar to a deconstructed jacket?
No, it's
okay.
A little bit separate as well. That's taking out other parts. So like you don't want shoulder pads, like you don't want any padding in there and stuff like that.
I had this good like summer jacket, and someone was like, it's deconstructed. I had no idea. I was like, it's a deconstructed jacket.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's very light. Yeah. Is that what that means?
Yeah. Sometimes they'll take out the canvassing as well, but that's very, very tricky to do.
Okay.
Because then it just won't look like a suit anymore, or it won't look like an actual jacket.
So is the canvassing holding its shape?
Yes. So because everything we do is again handmade, and it's a floating canvas, which means you can like pick apart the 2 layers of the actual fabric.
It's like on this lapel here.
Yeah. So you can pick the fabric apart, and you can feel that there's a layer of canvas inside.
Okay.
On most off the rack suits, it's glued, so you can't really pick it all apart because
and then it ends up like folding and
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially once you dry clean it. So when we say avoid dry cleaning as much as you can, because sometimes high heat will adhere, or a bad dry cleaner will adhere the fabric to that.
Is that called a bonded suit? Or
yeah, it's called fused construction. Fused construction.
Yeah.
So that's something that unfortunately sometimes can happen with a really poor dry cleaner. We've had dry cleaners destroy our buttons before. They've melted our buttons before. Again, we're not using plastic buttons. We use genuine horn buttons or mother of pearl buttons.
Horn?
Yeah.
Like made from an animal's horn?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's sustainably sourced, obviously. So it's not like we're killing rhinos.
Yeah.
Right.
What animals do those
don't want to
come
do that. That's a good question. I'd have to get back to you on that, but we have a wide range of them.
So I mean, a plastic button has to cost pennies.
Not even.
Not even.
Yeah, a fraction of a penny.
And a horn button, is that right? If I call it a horn button,
yeah, like a proper term? Like dollars.
Dollars.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of, we don't try to skimp on any of our materials. Even when it comes to linings, people tend to think that Japanese Bemberg is the best lining you can get, because that's kind of what's widely available. Japanese Bemberg is typically like $2 to $3 a yard. The silk we use is $35 a yard.
Big difference.
Yeah, no one else is doing silk. I mean, that's just overkill, but we do it because it feels better.
Yeah. When you walk in here, what should someone expect to spend on the bottom end, but all the way to the high?
So I would say, like, realistically, we're gonna get you a suit and shirt A suit probably in the $27.95 to $29.95. That's probably like if you're saying something that you're gonna wear a lot. I would say at least 50% of our suits come out in that range.
Okay.
If we wanted to go crazy, I mean, we have access to all the crazy fabrics. So whether that's, you know, Skabal has a treasure box fabric, which is either pinstripes or pin dots, and those pinstripes are either 24 karat gold and or platinum. So it's the thread that's coated in gold or platinum.
Okay.
That's about $35,000.
That has to look special.
Yeah, we have one. I'll show you afterwards.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
We have not just the fabric, we have one made up.
So I saw a number of headshots up there. Have all those people gotten suits here?
Yes.
That's really cool.
Those are all ours.
What's the most someone's ever spent on a suit?
I mean, we've done, outside of the treasure box, we've done, you know, a few, you know, $10,000, $12,000 coats. Okay. That's when you're getting into 100%, but not 100%, like 100% cashmeres will run you probably like $7,500. This is when you're getting into cashmere and vicuña blends.
What's vicuña?
Vicuña is it's an extremely rare, shoot, what is it? It's not a goat. It might be a goat.
Can you look it up?
Yeah, we have it. But shoot, I should know this. I'm just blanking right now, but it's extremely rare. It's softer than cashmere. It's probably like
softer than cashmere.
It's probably like 25-30%.
Cashmere, you just want to go to sleep.
No. It's like 25-30% softer than cashmere. Wow. It's extremely rare. It's extremely expensive. So that's probably when you're getting into cashmere vicuña blend. We do have pure vicuña as well. We would price out a pure vicuña coat again, probably in the $30,000 range. In two different weights. For reference, Loro Piana does a pure vicuña coat. They sell for $45,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If you were to custom make that, where would it be?
It'd be about $30,000.
$30,000.
Yeah, it's nice. It is nice. Does anyone need it? No.
No one needs a lot of this stuff. You know, it's,
you need like
you need things.
The nice suit.
The reality is, someone could go to Men's Warehouse, but that person's never going to walk in here. This is for something special, I feel, or for someone who just wants a respectable wardrobe because they need to look respectable every day.
I don't agree with that Men's Warehouse statement.
Okay. You think no one should go there?
No. Only because we've been there,
okay.
Right?
Yeah,
and now,
absolutely.
Now we're here, right?
I remember my first day, I was like, I'm going to get 3 suits. I'm going to get a gray, a brown, or a gray, a blue, and a black suit.
Yeah.
I walked in. It wasn't Men's Warehouse. I went to the other place.
Joseph A. Bank.
Joseph A. Bank.
Buy one, get 7 free. Yeah. We've all been there, so I don't want to rule that out. I mean, we're oftentimes not the first place someone has gone for a suit, and oftentimes not the first place someone has gone for a custom suit. We want to be the last place someone.
I like that. That's good. What really differentiates you? I mean, you've mentioned a lot of different things, but when you were looking for suits, what didn't you find that made you really want to do this?
I didn't find anything I was happy with fit-wise. Fabrics, again, other people can get access to, I'd probably say 40% of the fabrics we have access to. We have some unique relationships, but the fit is never right. Again, it just looks like it's someone like designed it very, very poorly, or construction is very, very poor. So to be able to have all of that, I mean, this is purely born of a passion project. I just wasn't happy with myself, so figured I would do it myself. Never thought we would get here. But then we're always trying to continually improve as well. So we've kind of added these models over the years. So we started with just starting English 7 years ago when we decided to rebrand. And then we added on the Milanese, and then we added on the Neapolitan, and then we added on the Roman. So we're always trying to add new things as well, and women's, and our newest product, which is what I should be harking about, is the shirt that I'm wearing right now.
I like that shirt. I noticed it when I walked in.
Yeah.
So I love when you don't have that top button, not the top, like the second button, and it still hangs tall the whole time. It looks really good. So
the secret of this is, this is a one-piece collared shirt.
Okay.
It was invented in Naples, probably 1930s. It's been around here or there. So when you say that top button, there's actually no button.
There's nothing right there.
There's no button at all.
Okay.
So there's no top button. There's no second button.
So there's no tie ever with that.
This first button is essentially the third button on your shirt.
Got it. Yes.
So it's always meant to be worn open. It sits high
Yeah.
But it sits open the
It's
whole
very
time.
impressive how it sits.
And it doesn't like ever do the fall.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I was wearing a suit yesterday. I had that problem all day long.
Yeah.
And every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, this just isn't the look I'm going
It's
for.
great as a casual shirt as well. So you can wear it, you know, with or without a jacket. So this shirt has been, we didn't invent this style of shirt. What we did invent is this fabric. It's our own proprietary bamboo cloth.
Okay.
It is the ultimate dress shirt. So we came out with this fabric maybe a little less than 2 years ago, just to try it out in white and blue. I came across bamboo fabric a while ago, but bamboo has always been used in athleisure, or it's used in bed sheets where either you need stretch or you don't. What is unique about our fabric is that it's got just the right amount of stretch to actually still look like a dress shirt, but then kick Lululemon's shirt's ass, like in terms of performance.
Okay.
So it's moisture wicking, it's odor resistant, wrinkle
Really,
resistant.
all those things?
Yes, all of those things. But it still looks like a dress shirt. That's first and foremost. But it feels better than anything else you'll buy. And I mean, this is kind of where we're putting our brand behind. We're launching this shirt shortly for e-commerce, and we're going to try to see what we can do with it, because we are like, so the reason why we decided to do ready to wear for this shirt and do it for e-commerce is that in the year and 6 months that we tested this out for our custom clientele, 1 out of every 2 guys came back for more after they had one.
Okay.
So that's a pretty good hit rate. So we're like, you know what, let's try this, because this is, again, it's our own proprietary fabric. No one else has it.
And what's going to be the price point on that shirt?
Off the rack, it's $178.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not bad.
It's not, I mean, it's like maybe $10, $15 more than your Lululemon dress shirt, but you can't wear that with
I didn't even know Lululemon made a dress shirt.
Yeah, but it's not a dress shirt. You can't wear it with a suit, really, right?
Okay.
Like, so you can wear it with jeans, but you can wear this with jeans, but you can also wear this.
You wear that with anything.
It's perfect post-COVID suit or
Yeah.
shirt, because I mean, when you think about it, because it doesn't wrinkle and doesn't smell, you can just throw it on your chair and wear. You know, when you have a Zoom call, just pick it up.
Yeah.
But when the world resumes too, and when you know, for our consultants who are traveling or whatever, you can wear it 3 days in a row. No one will be any wiser, because again, it's not going to wrinkle, it's not going to smell. I'm going to be honest. I have not washed, or and it's machine washable. So I have
So
not.
that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've had this shirt. I machine washed it maybe a week ago. But yeah, it's game changer.
So will you offer that with a top button?
Yeah. So we have 3 versions, in white and blue. We have it in a one-piece collar. We have it in a regular button-up spread collar, and then we have it in a tuxedo shirt in white as well.
Okay. And is there any trick to getting that collar to stay up like that? It's like, how is the shirt constructed so it does that?
So this shirt,
Yes.
There's a button here on the inside.
Okay.
That keeps it up, but also just the construction. It's called a one-piece collar because this piece of fabric continuously runs up and all the way around.
Can I see that?
So if you see here,
Yeah.
this kind of continuously. So if you feel your collar,
Yeah.
your collar stops here, and then there's another piece on top. That's the actual collar you see.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is just one continuous piece.
All the way through.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
It's a lot more difficult to make.
So what made you want to do those?
It looks cool.
Yeah.
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 It looks great. It looks great. And especially like in a world where we're getting away from ties more and more, it's the perfect shirt.
What do you think about suits that have a little stretch to them?
If done properly, if it's the right fabric, it can be great. And we're big advocates for that, especially because we do work with a lot of bigger guys.
Yeah.
It can make a huge difference. So it's like when you get jeans with 2% stretch, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it makes all the difference.
Those stretch jeans are a game changer too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the issue sometimes is, if the fabric isn't made correctly, once you stretch it out, it just stays there. And then it's gonna stretch out more, and then it's gonna stretch out more, and then it loses its shape. Okay. So it doesn't look like a suit anymore. So that's why your Lululemon blazer or those casual brands are all coming out with this like swacket or blazer or whatever.
Swacket?
Yeah, they call it like a
Sweatshirt jacket?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or whatever they want to call them.
Whatever.
They call these casual jackets. They don't look like jackets, like sport coats. They just look super casual because they use fabric that's got too much give.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it doesn't hold its shape. It doesn't look. They don't use any proper canvassing. It just doesn't look like a sport coat. It just looks like, yeah, you might be able to get it. You might be able to wear that, you know, if you work in San Francisco. You can't wear that in New York. So I'm of the philosophy where everything that we make, you should be able to wear on Wall Street, but you can feel like, you know, you're working in a tech office.
Okay. When someone's thinking about doing this, what type of questions should they be asking? What should they be thinking about when they want custom suits or custom clothing?
It starts with an evaluation probably of what your personal style is like. We never want to put you outside of your comfort zone. So if you are someone that really prefers to wear blues, we don't want to talk you into wearing grays. So like we want to kind of see where you are. If you want to come in here saying like, I want to push my boundaries a little bit, then we might throw in like the purple jacket or something that's classic.
You got a really pretty purple.
Yeah.
That I saw.
Yeah.
A really good color on the left side.
So we might be able to push you a little bit there, but we want you to kind of have a gauge of what you're looking for as opposed to us just trying to show you everything. Mm-hmm. Then that hour is going to turn into 2 or 3, and it's just a lot. Not only it's a lot for us, but for you to look at, you know, 3,000 fabrics, everything's going to look gray at the end. Like you know, like we don't want to do that either. So just be able to evaluate kind of like where your comfort zone is, but also what you need. We also don't want to make you something where like, yeah, I want this like, it's kind of like if you buy a bright yellow car, you're stuck with it. You know, it's not like we can't really return this. So no. if you buy a bright yellow suit, I mean, we'll make it, but like,
I imagine you charge a credit card first day.
we either take it all or we take a 50% deposit.
Yeah, I could definitely see some people coming in and be like, this isn't what I want. It's like, no, this is exactly what you picked out.
Yeah.
You just have some.
We don't have that very often.
Okay.
Luckily, we are very sensible in trying to talk to our clients about what it's going to actually look like fully made up. It might look a little bit too bright, or especially for weddings, we're like, hey, that might look a little too crazy. Last thing we want, especially for weddings, is someone to be like, look back in 5 years at their wedding photos, you know, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
You know?
So you have a number of cuff and collar options back there. Mm-hmm. Can we go through those?
For the shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's do it. So we have cuffs and collars here. Mm-hmm. I see a number of different styles, and I also see numbers on the back, which is pretty nice. I imagine that's for identifying it.
Yes.
So how many options do we have?
There are more than these. We have 10 collars out to select from. Most guys it's pretty easy to identify.
Widespread?
Not super widespread. Typically the bread and butter is a semi-spread.
Okay. Which one is that here?
It would be this.
Yeah. So that's what most of my shirts are.
Fits with, yeah, it's very similar to your collar. Fits with most style of tie, but it also looks good. Looks okay open.
That's the big thing, right? Because sometimes when I have a tie, I think I got a super widespread and I didn't even realize that's what I was doing. And the tie doesn't look right because there's too much space around it.
David Beckham does it really well. So
okay.
If you want some, style inspiration, he does that. He does that look really well. But and he does a really small knot. He does a forward hand knot. But so if you want something if you want something not to stand up on its own, you either put a button on the inside or you do a point collar.
What's a point collar?
Point collar is more like cut less open.
Got it.
But then this leaves less room for a tie, for a knot.
Got it.
You can't tie a bigger knot. Daniel Craig wears this pretty well.
Okay.
But it just depends.
Do you often have people say, I saw this, or they'll bring something in?
Yes.
I can see that a lot.
That's helpful. That's helpful.
Yeah.
It is helpful.
They give you some inspiration of what they're trying to go towards.
Yeah. We've shot a lot of photography on our end, and we have really striking photos. Mm-hmm. And we have, a decent lookbook on our website, but with this many fabrics, there's only so much you can shoot.
Yeah. That's how I found you. I found you from a photographer, actually.
Oh, yeah?
That's who gave me the idea.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
So what do we have here? What are these different options?
So on top, we have probably the least chosen ones. There's a Mandarin collar and then tuxedo. a wingtip collar. Then we kind of get into, these are our super Italian collars. So this is an Italian spread or a cutaway collar. This is our one piece, which is what I have on.
That's okay. Yep. And so when you say cutaway, does that mean anything in particular?
It's just wide. It's like flares up like this on the back end.
Got it.
A little bit.
Yeah. It's like okay. So it's over here on the side.
Yeah. Then we have semi-spread, spread, English spread. Then this is our one-piece collar with a button.
Do a lot of people do this still?
The button on the outside, so we can put a button on any of these collars. The button on the outside makes it more casual.
Yeah.
So typically you don't wear that with a suit unless...
I picture a sweater, right? Like someone over a sweater. I feel like I see that all the time.
So it's not a bad look.
Yeah.
I mean, JFK rocked a lot of it. So.
It's that casual, hey, this is who I am.
It's what JFK wore. So
it's
like,
a very humble look, I feel.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're going for. You're trying to let people bring their guard down.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Yeah, and then we have an English point collar, and then this is the one-piece collar without any buttons.
This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It seems risky or bold.
Yeah, definitely riskier and bolder.
Is that No.
It's this without the button.
Is that without the button?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it can go outside of your jacket if you want for that retro look.
I don't like that at all.
But you don't have to wear it outside your jacket either.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have some other cool stuff here. This is all this fabric. This was so impressive. I walked in and I saw all of this.
This is our fabric wall. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I mean, how do you even keep track? Like, I mean, how do you know to go to this book versus this book?
There's a lot of trainings. So we have really good relationships with our vendors, with our fabric mills, obviously. And then we do a lot of training on our end with our staff about, what we like and what makes each fabric unique. So the fabrics we kind of like, I wouldn't say there's a bottom shelf, but there's definitely a top shelf. So Loro Piana, Skiball, and Dorme, those are probably your most well-known mills.
That's these three companies here?
Yeah. Loro Piana makes ready-to-wear clothing, like finished garments as well. So they're probably the most well-known, but Skiball and Dorme have been merchants in the fabric world for 200 years or so. They've been making things for the English forever.
So I bet the average person thinks of what you do and they're like, okay, so if I want a suit or I want a shirt, I come here. But I imagine, do you make raincoats?
We do everything suiting adjacent.
Okay. So top coats, raincoats, sports coats,
parkas, bombers.
Okay. So if you want a winter jacket, you can come here and you can make it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you have an example of it?
Yeah. Let me go grab one. So this is our newest one. So it is fur-lined. It's a parka that's fur-lined. It's also on the hood.
Yeah, looks
it's a
nice.
Cashmere parka that's fur-lined. So we've been
doing. Is this cashmere?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
So we've been doing this for a while without the fur, but we decided to take it up a notch. It's completely removable. This is our sample, the finished product.
So this is the lining you can take out?
Yeah, so this is completely removable. This is our sample. The finished product will have, it'll be mink or rabbit fur.
Nice. What other garments do people have you make? Especially with women's clothing.
Well, this is our newest. Teddies are super hot.
That's nice.
For women right now.
Is that magnetic? No.
No. Yeah. No, it's not magnetic. It's a clasp button. Most parkas are really rough in texture because the fabric is just not that great. But if you feel this is actually it's an elevated parka. It's nice and soft.
So you'd call this a parka? What makes a parka parka? Because I think a winter coat.
I'm sorry, did I say parka? A teddy coat.
Teddy coat, okay.
Teddy coat, sorry.
And teddy, I mean teddy bear, right?
Yeah, what's called a teddy fabric, yeah.
Teddy fabric?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. My wife would look great.
Yeah, parkas in terms of, again, it's going to be dressier than what you think of in terms of like, say a Canada Goose coat, but this is our version of a parka. So it's, so we use Loro Piana Storm System fabric, which means the fabric is water resistant and
still feels great
and windproof. Yeah. So that's what gives it warmth. It is insulated, but what really keeps you warm is the fact that no wind is getting in there.
Okay. Yeah. So I noticed you're doing side straps for your suit. That's my favorite look. I wish when I had some suits made, I thought about it more.
Yeah.
What other customizations can someone make on a suit?
You can draw it. You can show us a picture. If I can draw it, we can make it.
But what are some things like, I know slanted pockets, or people have the surgeon's cuffs?
Pleats and cuffs are in right now.
Okay.
Oh, every jacket has working cuffs. that's just something that like people charge you for, where they really shouldn't.
It should be standard.
Yeah,
everything. If you're getting a custom suit, it should have
everything's included. So for example, a lot of people do surgeon cuffs, right? But no one makes a buttonhole as clean as this.
Where it's wider right here?
No, this buttonhole, like completely done by hand. No one does a handmade buttonhole like that.
Okay.
Except us. I mean, you can compare.
I know your suits are nicer than mine, so that's okay. But what's the difference here, looking at these two?
So you just see the finishing. I mean, it just, like every
Yours
stitch.
Is tighter.
Yeah.
It's absolutely tighter.
Yeah. That's the difference between sewing machine and by hand. You just can't do that on a machine.
Okay.
But also, no one by hand can make it this neat as well.
It looks very good.
Yeah.
So pockets, side straps.
Side tabs for two reasons. One, for ego purposes, I guess. For my ego. Really?
For your ego?
For my ego. When trousers are made for you, there's no need for a belt.
So I completely agree with that. And a belt is like a break in the look.
Yeah, that's the second point.
I don't like it. I'd rather have every pants I own to be like that.
So that's the second point. So, I mean, you're tall, so you can get away with it, but visually a belt breaks you up in half.
Yeah.
So when you don't have a belt, it gives everyone a little bit more height.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. So if you're a little shorter, you should absolutely have that.
Yeah, like I'm the average American male height,
5'10"?
but I'll take it.
Take it? Okay.
I got 5'10" once. But what it really does is like I have shorter legs that are slightly shorter than average. So what I do is I wear a slightly higher waisted trouser, and then I don't do a belt, and it kind of visually gives you a little bit more height.
That makes sense. What other tricks like that can a man take when he's looking for a garment, when he's trying to dress himself and look better?
There's a lot of things there. So like one of the biggest mistakes we see in men's suiting is that you see all these like really short jackets.
Okay.
Or
like it's coming up to here or so, right?
Yeah.
I notice that all the time.
Or in the back. Or in the back. Not just jackets, shirt as well. I mean,
yeah.
Not to name brands, but there's a specific shirt brand that all they do is just make short shirts, and they say wear it untucked. It's not a good look. Yeah. So what happens when you cut something short, whether it's a jacket or a shirt, is that it draws everything up. So it makes even someone who is fit or lean, unless you're really skinny, it makes you look short in front.
because it's taking length away from you.
Yeah.
So therefore you're gonna look rounder.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So like the whole philosophy of that company makes no sense to me. So proper length is really important.
Well, I think it's for the guys wearing those sweaters again, so they have like a little tab coming out on the side.
I don't know. For some reason, it works for them, but like every time I see that, it's a big pet peeve of mine.
If someone's coming in here, what should they know before they come in? What should they be prepared to talk about?
I think as a brand, as a whole, we're not going to really be apologetic about our price point. That's not something that is what it is.
You know that coming in here, right?
Most guys do. But you also know, you also are going to get the best suit that's available in the city. I can guarantee that. You're going to get the best customer service. People see the price point and they think like we're stuck up guys or guys and gals, and we're going to be like really. We're not. I mean, we want this to be kind of as casual as possible. Like, out of this, I've built a lot of new friendships. I'm able to touch a wide variety of people across almost every single industry. So it's really cool. And you get to know.
That's how I feel about what I do. It's like I meet people everywhere.
Yeah.
And like, you know, the general idea of a real estate agent is like this pretentious jerk. And it's like
there are some in the city, that's for sure.
There's definitely some.
Yeah.
And it's like even my look, like, you know what this look is? This is the like suit look that I'm going for. I have this belt. I didn't buy this belt buckle for one. It was a gift.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not a big fan, but I feel like it fits the role that some people are expecting. Yeah. And yesterday I was way more casual. I was actually with an NFL player. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna dress for you. Right. Like I try to dress for what I'm going into, because if I'm overdressed and I'm stuffy, like what's the person I'm with? How are they gonna feel?
Right. I mean, so our motto is no compromise. So we don't want to compromise in terms of, we don't want to compromise in terms of look. We also don't want to compromise in terms of quality. We also don't want to compromise in terms of performance and feel. So we're going to take all three of those things. We're going to kind of create the perfect product. That's what we're trying to do.
Performance is interesting. When I think about a suit, I would never think of performance, but you're right. I mean, I've split the pants of a few suits for sure, and the performance was off, right? Like something wasn't where it was supposed to
Probably
be.
the fit is part of that.
Yeah.
That as well. Fit and performance of the fabric. There's a lot of things that kind of go into it. If you want something that's super skin tight, I mean, you're going to run that risk no matter what, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you're getting into a car and you're like, I gotta like hop into
yeah,
this. I can't even put my leg up like that.
Yeah. We're luckily past that stage of kind of
super tight clothes.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think mid 2010s we ran into, because in the 90s everything was way over, like hilariously oversized. And then we ran into the 2010s where everything was like skin tight. I think luckily we're back to, and this is kind of weird that people don't think about this, but men's suiting in the 80s was really sharp. So if you look at Michael Jordan's suits even, like if you watch the Last Dance documentary or his suits in the 80s, like Doug Collins was the coach because he was in a suit all the time. Those suits were sharp and they were cut very, very well, like classically cut. We're trending back towards that, which is nice. So
that's good, because I can see someone's junk in their suit.
Yeah.
If there's something wrong. Yeah. Like, hey guys, if that's the case, your suits are way too
James tight. Bond is, his suiting has gone downhill in recent years as well, in that direction. So
too tight.
The last time he was dressed well was probably, I know the Spectre Midnight Blue tuxedo kind of took off, but Casino Royale was probably the last time he was properly dressed.
Okay. So to finish off, whether someone comes here or anywhere, when they're going and getting a custom suit made, what should they really keep in mind?
So keep in mind that you're in charge. So they might, whoever, whether it be us or anyone else, they're going to try to steer you in certain areas, but just tell them what you're comfortable with, tell them what you're looking for. So again, you're in charge, but listen to the advice they're going to give you because they're experts on it, right? We're not going to go in and tell you how to do. We're going to tell you, like, say I'm hiring an attorney for closing, right? Or I'm going to look at a house. I'm going to tell you like what I want, but I don't know what happens in an inspection. I don't know like what asbestos. The average guy doesn't know what asbestos are. Or they're not going to look at they're not going to look at the foundation like you are, right? So they know a broad picture, they know the broad strokes, but it's for us to kind of fill in those details. So we're here to help, and we want to make something that you're going to be happy with. We're going to be happy with. But at the end of the day, we want you to be happy.
That's great. I'm going to go find some horn buttons, and I really appreciate you doing this.
Don't kill anything.
Okay, good. Thank you for this.
Yeah,
see ya.
thanks.